Hi guys, this is Ryan Holleen from Seaport Spine. Today we're doing McGill's Big 3, the best 3 exercises for back health. I'm going to show you how each exercise perform, and we'll break it down. We'll give you some tips and tricks, how to perform each exercise properly, and we'll talk about common mistakes. So first exercise is the modified curl up. Basically it looks like this. Doesn't look like much. All you're doing is you're picking your head and your shoulders up about 2 inches off the floor. Hold for 10 seconds, back down. So at the beginning of this each rep, what you're going to want to do is mildly brace your core or your abs and then perform the curl up. So from here, mildly brace your core, curl up. You're also going to lightly float the elbows or flare the elbows a little bit, just 1 inch off the floor. Again, holding for 10 seconds and back down. The hardest part to master about this exercise is where this flexion or this hinging motion is occurring. So it's not like a traditional crunch where you're flexing your neck and you're flattening the low back against the floor. You're not going to move the low back or the neck at all. You're going to maintain a neutral lumbar spine. So you get this nice inward curve you have in the low back. You're going to maintain this, and you're going to maintain a neutral neck position. The only motion is occurring by hinging here at the mid-thoracic spine. So right about the bottom of the shoulder blade at this region. It's more helpful to picture from the front. For men, mid-sternum region. For ladies, just above the brow line. Again, it just looks like this. You're not going to flex this region or the lower thoracic spine at this region. Again, it's about right here. So next, we'll talk about how to give you a few tips on how to maintain this neutral lumbar spine position. The first one is with the setup. The knee is bent to 90 degrees. That's going to add traction to the pelvis, help maintain neutral lumbar spine. Second tip, hands are going to be stacked like this or like this underneath the hollow in the low back. They're going to act as platform or support, and they're also going to act as sensors. So if you feel the low back flattening and you feel pressure against your hands, you know you need to correct that. Maintain a neutral lumbar spine. Third is the ab brace, which we've already talked about. That's going to help maintain a neutral lumbar spine position as well, locking that position into place. If this exercise is too easy for you, you can increase the challenge by doing a more forceful ab brace at the beginning of the exercise. If you need to review proper ab bracing, we have a YouTube video on that as well. But basically what you're going to do, use a more forceful ab brace in the beginning and then perform your curl up motion. And you'll definitely notice increased resistance and a more challenge trying to get into this position once you add a forceful ab brace. From here you can also do deep belly breathing, and that's going to further increase the challenge of this exercise. Chin tuckers or chin pokers or chin tuckers, correct that. Keep a neutral neck. You're going to want to picture the head and the neck as a rigid block attached to the trunk. No motion is occurring in this region. Last thing to note is the in-between sets. You could switch legs, but if you're having sciatica symptoms, say in your left leg, keep the left leg bent the whole time. You don't have to switch in between sets. It's okay to keep that leg bent the whole time. Now we'll move along. We got an exercise from the front. We're going to move along to the sides, to the obliques. I'm going to give you the traditional side plank and some variations. So many people know how to do the traditional side plank. You might notice when you're doing this exercise that you're a little stronger on one side than the other. So doing this exercise regularly will help correct any asymmetry. And asymmetry in the lateral musculature in your core is a predictor of future back pain. So you're going to want to practice this exercise and even out that imbalance. So many people know how to perform the traditional side plank. Looks like this: in line from the front, in line from the side. Again, neutral neck, mid back, low back position. If this is too easy for you, the intermediate variation is going to involve a roll or a twist. So from here, what I like to do, splay my feet, pivot to the front plank position, and then get ready for my pivot to the other side. Here, stack the feet, get ready for your roll, splay your feet, pivot, and then back to the other side. Again, holding each side 10 seconds. To break that down, there's no motion occurring in the core, or there's no twisting of the core or the spine. So you're not going to twist like this. You're going to accomplish this pivot or this roll by pivoting on the toes and rotating at the shoulder girdle. So the rib cage and the pelvis are going to move together as one unit. There's not going to be any twisting there. So if you have a partner, you can have them put the heel of their hand on your rib cage and the fingers on the pelvis, and then when you go to do your roll, you don't want any motion occurring like this. You don't want any of this twisting motion. You don't want any motion under the hand. They're going to move together as one unit. This is kind of getting into a more advanced variation. If the pivot is too easy for you, if this variation is even too easy, what you could do is, and it's a variation that I really love, is when you splay the feet to go do your pivot, just kind of rock back and forth like this. And this is going to really create a burn. It's going to hit the anterior, posterior, upper, lower fibers of the obliques. You're really going to feel that one. So you would just kind of roll like this, and then here, that's the other side. Hold this for a few seconds, and then before you roll, you would kind of do this kind of motion as well to further increase the difficulty, and then back to the other side. A beginner variation, if this is too difficult for you, it's just as effective to build endurance and stiffness in the obliques, the lateral musculature of your core. Just be performed from the knees. Again, pretty similar concept. Biggest tip I could give you is in between reps, do not drop the pelvis down to the floor like this, as I am bending my spine, and that can be a problem if you're having symptoms in the back. So what you're going to want to do instead in between reps is drop the hips back and down 45 degrees. And then to get back to your starting position, you're going to want to hip hinge, pull the hips through, and then again holding 10-second reps. So back and down 45 degrees. From here, you don't want the pelvis to sag in this position either. Keep the pelvis in a neutral position like this, and then again pull the hips through. Keep your arm here, 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 however you're comfortable. Come around the side, we'll show you just so you got it down. So over 10 seconds, drop the pelvis and the hips back and down 45 degrees, and then pull the hips through. So that covers beginner, intermediate, advanced variations for the side plank. We're gonna move on to, so we get the front, we get the sides, we're gonna get the back. We're gonna get the glutes and the back extensors. We're gonna do the bird dog. The bird dog is a very common physical therapy exercise. I love this exercise. Show you how it's performed. Looks like this. Again, holding for 10 seconds. To break it down, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. You're gonna find your neutral spine position, so somewhere between flexion and extension. Just nice, you can do cat camel, kind of find your neutral spine. Nice neutral spine position, about here. Here is pretty good for me. And extending opposite arm, opposite leg to further increase the challenge, or to further enhance this exercise, make a fist here and point the toes downward. Instead of pointing the toes outward, point them down towards the floor. The cue is to push the heel away. That's going to further, the fist is going to further activate the upper back extensors, and pushing the heel away is going to further activate your glutes. Hold 10 seconds, back down, and some experts recommend doing all your reps on one side and switching to the other side. So you could go back to this side if you want, but if you're more comfortable, you could alternate and do. You can alternate sides, whatever you feel is more comfortable. The goal of this exercise is for motion to only occur at the shoulder and the hip joint. So the core and the pelvis want to be as level and as stable as possible. So it's helpful to picture a cup of water balancing on your pelvis and on your upper back, and you don't want the water to tip over. So common mistakes, people might bring the arm and the leg up too high. You're going to want to correct that, bring them back down to parallel to the floor. And then a little tip, if you're having trouble keeping the pelvis level, if you're twisting the pelvis a little bit, just bring the leg back down a little bit from parallel. That's okay. It's just as effective, and it'll help you maintain that neutral pelvis and spine position. So back down. Another beginner variation, if this is too challenging, is just doing the leg. So like this. again holding 10 seconds. And then you would do all your reps on one side and then do the other side. If you're looking for a little to increase the challenge, an intermediate or an advanced variation would be drawing squares. So you're, at this point, draw 1 foot square. So out, down, back in, and then up. Out, down, back in, up. So drawing squares with the arm and with the leg. If you want to further increase the challenge there, at the very end, when you're going up, do a pulse or a fast twitch here. That's going to further activate the core muscular